What the crap? It's not, whatever. Okay, we're just gonna have to do it like this. Hi everyone, welcome to an impromptu live special Saturday edition of Crypto Tips. I'm gonna multitask today. I'm going to talk about the best time to sell cryptocurrency, how you can decide what works best for you in that decision, and also for those of you who aren't vegetarian or vegan, might not like this part of the video, I'm going to be cooking a steak. I posted a photo of a steak that we made a couple days ago and it was delicious, but my pride's getting in my way basically. People thought I burned the crap out of it, but I'm going to show you the trick, getting a nice crust and cooking it perfectly however it is that you want it to be cooked. So right now I want to get this steak going. So first I will just do a little basics of the steak, and then as it's cooking I'll get into the cryptocurrency side. So hi everyone, Toby's filming me, so if you can tell me how many people are, is there anyone in there, any comments?
Prospect, good morning, beautiful.
Hey, good morning. Okay. Also a reminder, if you guys love these live streams and you want to help support this channel, we have the super chat enabled, I believe. So thank you. Anyway, so there's I think like 3 key things for a good steak, right? You're gonna need a good piece of meat, which luckily, thanks to a friend that Toby and I met here in Portugal, we found the greatest hookup for a butcher in Portugal. So we got the meats. We got T-bone, we have maybe chuletons or tomahawks. I mean, we don't have those currently, but that's what that butcher has. So it's, okay, anyway, I'm getting into it. For those of you who haven't figured it out yet, this is my favorite room in the house, of any house I've ever been in, is the kitchen. I love to cook. So we're gonna see how you guys like these cooking channels. Let's get into the steak. Toby is rolling his eyes. So whenever you're cooking any kind of meat, I know any germaphobes might not like this idea, but it's a good idea to get it close to room temperature before you cook it. It helps it cook more evenly and you get a better result. So a couple hours ago, I took this out of the fridge and I put a little bit of olive oil on it, both sides, and salt and pepper, both sides. Yeah, that's one cool thing about marinating. Putting salt on any meat at any time ahead of cooking it will improve the flavor. Not a whole bunch of salt, but anyway. Now, Toby, in all of his enthusiasticness for wanting to get the best steak in the world, he found this ginormous cast iron skillet. So that's what we're working with today. It's a bit too big to fit in our oven, so ideally you'd brown it in the pan and then you put it in the oven with a meat thermometer, which is the key ingredient for a good steak, is a meat thermometer. You know exactly the temperature of the meat in the center, so you won't ever undercook it or overcook it. It will always be exactly what you want. So, okay.
People want to know how to sell their cryptocurrency.
Okay,
I'm sure they do.
I'm gonna get to the cryptocurrency, I swear. We will have time to talk about that. But for those of you who also want to know how to cook a good steak, you're gonna get that information as well. So my oven is preheated. I can't have too many things going on at the same time, otherwise I blow the electricity. So now I will get this pan hot, and I put a little bit of clarified butter, also known as ghee, just because it has a higher smoke point, so it won't burn as easily. There you go. Organic ghee. And all right, so this is going. Okay.
So when do we sell, Heidi?
Okay, so if you're going to consider selling your cryptocurrencies, there are some things that you need to decide or understand of yourself. Number one being, why did you buy cryptocurrency in the first place? Was it because you think that it will one day replace the legacy financial and fiat system? If so, you're probably not going to be selling all of your cryptocurrency. I know Toby and I will never completely exit our positions in crypto. So yeah, definitely take that into consideration. Also, of course, you need to have a firm understanding of your own financial situation, as in how much can you invest, without doing something super crazy and, honestly greedy of like taking out a second mortgage on your house, kind of crazy stuff people do to get into crypto, and it is awfully risky. And so, understanding where you are financially, how you are functioning in your life, when you actually need to exit into fiat, because we don't live in a world where everyone accepts cryptocurrency as a form of payment. It would be great, but the fact remains we're not there yet. So it's a reality that many of us will have to come to grips with. Get a hold of your financial situation. What else? I have notes here so I don't forget. Okay, how much risk are you willing to take on? With cryptocurrencies, especially the far more speculative cryptocurrencies, Toby and I in our Patreon group, for those of you watching who are in Patreon, you know we've been going kind of getting into the DeFi space, not necessarily using those DeFi platforms, but getting positions in these DeFi tokens. Just because we think it, could short term. Anyway, when you're determining, when you want to sell, the higher and the faster a price skyrockets, it is risky because that is extremely volatile and probably isn't very sustainable. So, you have to determine, again, according to really what are your goals of investing in cryptocurrency? What are some things that you want to be able to afford that will improve your life? Whether it's, paying off your debt, which is something I highly recommend. Now let's just enjoy this nice noise. Hold on. Okay. And that's what you're looking for when you want to steer a state. So I do 2 minutes on each side, and I put that on right at the 0 mark, so it's going to be easy. Okay, so hopefully I don't overcook it. It does get kind of smoky. You need it to be very hot to get a nice crust on it. Okay, so what are some goals that would alleviate stress in your life, that would make your life easier? Having, a realistic goal, but also you never know with cryptocurrencies. They have completely changed my life and Toby's life. We would never, dream of being in the kind of positions that we are in now. So, be conservative where you have to be, but also don't be afraid to dream for bigger things because you never know what's going to happen. Taking on the risk in that way, understanding where you are financially. Here's one that many people are always asking about, is regarding taxes. If you're trying to...
How do you like the Big Berkey?
Oh, it's great. When we're having like a lot of people over, it's kind of a pain having to constantly refill it.
It's great.
But it's amazing. The filters last so long. The water tastes amazing. And yeah, fully works with us. So 30 more seconds on this side. What? Oh. Okay, so another thing to consider when is the best time to sell cryptocurrency for you is depending on where you're living, what the jurisdiction is like, how your government is classifying cryptocurrencies. If you have to consider short-term versus long-term capital gains, maybe you want to hang on to it for another week and then you get the long-term capital gains tax break. If you're living in a country like, say, Portugal, where they don't tax personal investments in cryptocurrency, that's not really a thing you have to worry about. But for some people, that could definitely be the deciding factor. What else? This one could easily go into another video, which I might do. Toby is definitely a good insight for this. Ooh, 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Toby's freaking out. He does not want me to overcook this thing. Okay, so I need bigger tongs. So now you see I got a little crust on it. Looks pretty good. Now I need to actually, doing a lot of moving right now. 1 second. I need to get, excuse me, some garlic going. When that pepper hits that heat, it can get caught in your throat sometimes. Excuse me. Oh, that's gonna be too loud. Okay. So cool. One thing that I really like about Portuguese food is that they do a lot of like pure cooking. Toby, I want to talk about the steak too. Okay. Right. So just garlic and steak. Oops. So good. Easy way to peel garlic out of the skin. Just give them a nice little love tap with a knife. Couple more seconds on here. Let it wriggling. I will be with you guys shortly with the cryptocurrency talk. 1 second, please be patient. So what I'm doing with the garlic is going to be like a really good sauce, and it's going to give really good flavor to the steak because we're not grilling it. And when you grill steak, I mean, come on, you get some nice flavor. But for those who maybe don't have access to a grill, or why else would you want to do this? If you want to know exactly to cook it perfectly, this is a cool option for you. So ideally, if I had a cast iron skillet that's thick in my oven, I would just put it directly in there, but that's not the situation I'm working with. So I have this hot pan. Wouldn't be a day in the kitchen if I didn't burn myself a little bit there. Okay. So that's about done. And I will go ahead. Let me see what this looks like. Looks pretty good. Okay. And just stick it on there. And from here, I need to put my meat thermometer an inch away from the bone and just right in the center of the meat, not touching the pan. That's how you get a really accurate read of the temperature of the steak. And so right now the oven should be about, I'm working with Celsius, so about 220 degrees Celsius. Whatever that is in Fahrenheit, you guys are gonna have to do some conversions for yourself. And for a rare steak, which is how Toby and I like it, the inside temperature should be like 49, 50, 51. So I keep it out at 48 because what I'm going to do later on is, you let the steak rest, which allows the, juices to get back into the steak. So what we do is we put the steak back into the pan and let it rest that way, and it also kind of cooks a little bit as well because the pan's still pretty warm. Cast iron skillet is known for keeping its heat. So get a rough chop of some garlic, and with the residual butter that was already in the pan, get that cooked up nice, and a little bit of the sauce. And as an added little treat, these beautiful tomatoes from the farmer's market, bought today. Oh, it's already at 48 degrees. Okay, that thing's kind of annoying. So that did not take long at all. Before it's taken much longer. Anyway, take this out. Stick this here. And I wanted more time to cook this before that was done. So timing is a thing with cooking. I know, Toby wants me to go back to cryptocurrencies. If you guys are leaving comments, I don't know what you're saying. Toby, has there been any comments? A lot of people talking? No? Okay. Maybe I'll do a little bit more butter. So we're talking about what are your plans with the profits? Are you going to go into fiat because you really need to replenish your bank funds for whatever reason? Do you have like payments you're trying to pay off? Are there just things you need to pay for that will only work with fiat? Or are you going to take profits because you're in a coin that has performed very well and you want to take the profits from there, maybe 10%, maybe 20%, and take that and distribute it back into other coins that either haven't performed as well, but they're in a similar grouping, like again, this DeFi space, or say that they've pumped and they've drawn back and it could be an entry point. Again, for those of you in the Patreon group, you know that I don't worry too much about entry points with coins. I definitely prefer to consider, you know, like what value a coin has, and you know, like we're not too into the risk for cryptocurrencies. So, one second. I'm gonna put this in here. Get some of the fat rendering in the pan. Good stuff. So looking for, with your profits, fiat or coins that haven't performed yet or have pumped and they've drawn back, but you still think, and other people, you know, they're talking about how this coin still has a lot of potential. For example, when Bitcoin drops back, you know, that's a good entry point for a lot of people. So, okay. I wanted these tomatoes to cook a little bit more. That's pretty much, what, do you have any input, Toby?
Absolutely.
Okay, here's Toby. Come on this side
Alright,
for the
guys.
light.
So, what we have been doing, I think she forgot to say this, but it's, I think that when you are investing in your coin pumps like 200% or something like that, like, it's not wise to keep everything in there. It's always good to take profits. And look at the coins that haven't pumped before. You know, like say for instance you invested in, I don't know, what's a recent one, like Band or whatever. You know, so you invested in that and it's gone up, you know, a couple 100%. Take, you know, 20% profit, 10% profit or whatever, and dump it into a coin maybe that hasn't pumped. So, you know, that's one way to take profits. The other one is obviously what Heidi's been saying, is to really like look at what you're doing with your life, where you want to go in your life, and you know, have that idea of how much money you're actually going to need for that, and then use it that way. So, yeah, and find out the tax situation, of course, as well. So. What's up?
Thank you, Bitcoin Moon, for the super chat. Thank you. That was super sweet. Also, someone asked, I forgot the name. I couldn't catch the name.
I'm done.
But, okay.
Yeah.
Someone asked how to get into fiat without going through KYC. The only decentralized exchange that I know that has this as an option is BISC, B-I-S-Q. It's an awesome decentralized exchange because it doesn't run on a centralized server or website. It's an application that you run locally on your computer, and they allow you to match up bank transfers with other people. So decentralized way without KYC that allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin and Monero. Those are the two big trading pairs for fiat. So yeah. Any other questions? Okay, so I am bummed about these tomatoes, but I like raw tomatoes. Toby's not a fan, so I'm gonna have to eat all these probably. Okay, so here is the big reveal, right? It's probably been resting for a little bit. Ideally, you'd have it rest probably a little bit more, or even just on a chopping board with like tinfoil wrapped on it. But, okay. That's pretty freaking good. Okay. Stick that there. And to have a nice sharp
See how
knife.
nice it is.
I'm not nervous because I have the meat thermometer, so I know exactly how much this is going to be cooked, and it's going to be delicious. So this is a T-bone steak. It's not a porterhouse. It's not a tomahawk or chuleton. It's a T-bone steak. It's pretty freaking big. It's big enough for 2 people, that's for sure.
Did you buy the steak with Bitcoin?
No, I didn't. I'm gonna need to work on my Portuguese and convince the butcher dude to accept it in Bitcoin. Who knows? They tend to be pretty risk averse here in Portugal. Like they're super skeptical of Bitcoin, like the individuals in Portugal. So yeah, not there yet. So I'm just cutting along the bone. And for those of you who like rare steak, this is gonna be delicious for you guys. Here's some. Pretty good.
Perfection.
So yeah, nice steak dinner. And dude, the only reason Toby and I can even afford to have something like this at all, like we used to daydream about having steak, and we took advantage of the crypto space. We took profits when we could. We allocated them in ways that worked and benefited us, obviously, and now we can show you guys how to cook good steak and enjoy it. And so that's what we do with our Patreon group as well. We talk a lot about
What wine are you pairing it with?
Actually, this is a delicious wine from Portugal, and it is frequently on sale. That's one thing I loved about Portugal. The wine is very, very good and also very inexpensive. This is like €3 for a bottle. Pretty cool. Anyway. Yeah, so now I guess I can just plate this, eh?
So profits.
What else would you like me to talk about profits?
What else, guys?
I mean, this wasn't going to be like a super long video because it only takes like 10 minutes to cook a steak. You guys can watch me carve it if you want.
I would definitely say
this
don't.
Isn't going to be a mukbang where I'm like chowing down on the steak.
I would definitely say, like, with your channel, I mean, we will tell people within 5 minutes of when we sell our crypto on our Patreon.
The first, the past several months, we've really been accumulating, adjusting our positions in like the bigger cap coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum that really are kind of boring price movements. And we've been, the smaller side of the T-bone is always more tender. So I'm going to tuck these little nuggets away for me to eat until we can devour the rest of the steak. So good. Yeah, there's a lot of fat in this one too, that's okay. So, yeah. Our Patreon, so another class I'm doing on July 29th for the CT Club at noon Eastern time will be on how I research cryptocurrencies and how I come to the decision to invest in them or not. So that's definitely in line with what we're talking about here. So for those of you who might be interested in something like that, consider joining up on the Patreon group. There's links in the video description saying, join the Patreon group here. So like this garlic has been just slowly warming up in this ghee, this clarified butter. And that's a pretty delicious, sorry, I just squirted them with, sorry, got some, it's a risk. So even also just putting the steak back on there with a little bit of garlic gets some nice flavor on there. So I'm gonna, see if I can't burn the crap on myself again.
That looks delicious.
So I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. And this is usually when Toby helps me scrape, but that's okay. Because this thing is gargantuan. Yeah, and who knows what's going to happen with the DeFi space. Maybe I said this already, but we've been tweeting about DeFi a lot. Our Patreon's been all about it. I've been doing a few videos on it. We've looked at the profits, the potential profits from, like, say, using BlockFi or just like the lending. If we were to lend our cryptos out, the amount that we would have to lend out is, in my opinion, not quite worth it, the potential income, especially when you're risking, if you're using a centralized platform like BlockFi, where you have to send your coins to a centralized entity. I am not about that. Like, that doesn't turn me on whatsoever. So in addition to that, it's like not a lot of return for that risk, in my opinion. So another way to take advantage of this new hype, if you don't want to participate in those platforms, you can purchase the tokens that these platforms are creating to incentivize the network effect and people actually using that platform. You can just buy those coins fully speculating. You're not actually using them for their utility. You're just buying the coin and seeing those appreciate it. And if you're buying lend, band, all over the place, or all over the crypto space, if you're at all paying attention, you're seeing these coins go up, and that's another way, easy way for you to benefit from this. So yeah. Toby, you ready to dig into the steak? I'm kind of hungry.
Sure.
So thank you everyone who's in the live stream, in the chat. Kind of awkward because I can't see the comments. Toby's just doing this on my phone. It's fine. It's too late. But so thank you everyone, and we will be coming to you again on Monday, noon Eastern time. But if you guys are enjoying these cooking shows, I mean, I can show you how to grill a fish, how to do some vegetarian stuff, make some bread maybe. That's kind of time consuming. We'll figure something out. If you guys are into it, I'd be happy to incorporate this part, this huge passion in my life, to you guys as well, and try to do healthy ways to do it. So,
Somebody asked, what's a good crypto bank?
what does that mean?
Like, what's a good bank to use for cryptocurrencies? I guess fiat on-ramp.
Like a crypto-friendly
Off-ramp.
bank?
Yeah,
I don't
probably.
know. I mean, it varies, and it can change at any moment, really. I know the bank that I use has been helpful so far. Has been, yeah. I think it more is determined on what country you're in.
Any
That's
Maltese
really,
bank?
It's really going to be
TD.
the kind of foundational hint as to if your bank is going to be friendly for crypto. I know lots of U.S. banks have tended to either cancel people's transactions or close out their accounts if they even think it has anything to do with cryptocurrencies. Portugal, it's kind of it's unregulated, so we're kind of benefiting from that right now, of it being completely tax-free.
Probably the less regulated the country is, financially regulated,
yeah.
might be the better
But
choice.
the risk there of it being unregulated is that they could wake up, or not wake up, all of a sudden decide to regulate it, and then it's
Tax-free.
suffocating. Yeah, it's tax-free right now, but that doesn't mean it will be long-term. So there are, if you're trying to work with that kind of a system and participate in the centralized aspect of interacting with cryptocurrencies, yeah, you're gonna want, I guess, I can understand why people would want regulations, because at least they can know exactly the framework that they can work with. If it's completely unregulated, the risk there, I mean, it's a benefit, of course, in the short term, but the risk is in the long term they could turn around and slap you with some regulations. Anything else? How's it going? I know I saw Jill Carley in the comments, so hi Jill, I want to say hi. Love you guys. Okay, we're gonna dig into the steak. I hope you guys enjoy this. Again, we'll be
Let's
coming
show
to
one more
you
time before we go.
on Monday.
See, she didn't burn the steak.
Yeah.
How red that is. Yep.
It's either burnt or it's raw, right? No, it's great. Okay, so see you guys on Monday. Stay happy and healthy. See ya.